The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." You've probably also heard the saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Well, today, we're going to explore that idea through a Stoic lens. Specifically, we'll discuss the 7 types of people who can derail your progress, according to Stoic philosophy, and how to navigate these challenging relationships. Before we begin, I'd appreciate it if you would like the video to help spread Stoic philosophy further. And if you haven't already, subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss future insights. Type of person number 1, the complainer. We all know that one friend, family member or co-worker who finds fault in everything. The weather, their job, the traffic, even the food at a popular restaurant. Nothing escapes their dissatisfaction. Now you might think, why should this concern me? I can just ignore them. But that's easier said than done. Consistent exposure to negativity has a draining effect on your mental well-being. It's like a leaky faucet, slowly depleting your reservoir of emotional energy. Stoicism teaches us to focus on actionable solutions, not endless rumination on problems. But the complainer thrives on dwelling in dissatisfaction. Imagine collaborating on a project with such a person. Each meeting turns into a marathon of complaints with no constructive dialogue. What happens? The team's morale declines, energy is wasted, progress stalls, and before long, you find yourself disenchanted, not just with the project, but perhaps with life itself. So how does Stoicism help us deal with complainers? First, limit your exposure whenever possible. Distance, when available, is the simplest shield. But if avoidance isn't an option, perhaps because this person is a family member or a colleague, then your second strategy is mental distancing. During their tirades, remind yourself, this is their burden, not mine. Their words need not pierce my inner calm. In this way, you practice the Stoic discipline of control, choosing what affects your mind and what does not. Think of their complaints as a passing storm, loud, unsettling, but ultimately temporary and powerless against the immovable mountain of your inner tranquility. Your third option is to gently steer the conversation towards solutions, or to shift the subject towards something more constructive. To quote Marcus Aurelius, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This timeless Stoic wisdom reminds us to guard our mental peace diligently, ensuring that the negativity of chronic complainers never pulls us away from our Stoic path of resilience and virtue. Type of person number 2, the drama magnet. Imagine you are navigating life like a ship sailing through calm waters, and then, suddenly, you encounter the whirlpool known as the drama magnet. This individual seems to have an endless series of crises, conflicts, or controversies. And like a whirlpool, they have an uncanny ability to pull you into their vortex of chaos. At first, you may find yourself drawn to their energy, mistaking it for passion or excitement. But soon, you realize that being within their orbit is like steering your ship through a storm, exhausting, dangerous. What makes drama magnets so tricky is that their crises quickly begin to feel like your own. Their chaos is infectious. You may even find yourself embroiled in conflicts that you had no part in to begin with. Take a practical example. You have a friend who constantly falls out with others in your social circle. Today, they're not speaking to Sarah. Tomorrow, it's Tom. They come to you for advice, but you notice the cycle never ends. Before long, you find yourself caught between Sarah and Tom as well, simply because you tried to intervene. So how can Stoicism help here? One strategy is called reflective listening. Instead of offering advice or taking sides, mirror their words back to them. If they say, "I can't believe Sarah said that about me," you respond, "So you're feeling betrayed by Sarah's words." This allows you to provide emotional support without being entangled in the drama yourself. Another approach, though it may sound counterintuitive, is to become selectively unavailable. Stoicism reminds us to value our time as a precious resource. Sometimes that means being unavailable for other people's crises, especially when they are recurring and unresolved. Turn off your phone during certain hours. Establish focus periods where you devote yourself to work, reflection, or personal growth. Let it be known that during those times, you are not to be disturbed. To paraphrase Seneca, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future. This mindset is particularly powerful when dealing with drama magnets. Instead of anxiously wondering, "What crisis will they bring me tomorrow?" Stay anchored in the present moment. Focus on the areas of your life you can control. Savor your peace, and do not let it be disrupted by someone else's chaos. Make it a point to sail your ship calmly, steering clear of whirlpools that threaten your voyage toward personal growth and tranquility. Type of person number 3, the Naysayer. Picture this. You're an artist painting a canvas. Each brush stroke adds color, depth, and life to your vision. Enter the Naysayer. They step into your studio, glance at your work, and immediately begin to critique. "Are you sure about that color? That doesn't look realistic. You know most artists never make it, right?" Their words, like strokes of gray paint, begin to dull your vibrant canvas. This isn't constructive criticism, which can be valuable. Instead, it's a persistent aura of doubt and negativity. Let's take an example. You're excited about pursuing a new career path. You've done your research, spoken to professionals, maybe even completed a few courses. When you share your enthusiasm with the Naysayer, they quickly list all the reasons it won't work. The market is too competitive. Do you really have the right skills? What if you fail? Soon, their doubts start to sound like your own, and the self-assured vision you had begins to wobble. So how do you deal with the Naysayer, especially if they're close to you? One unconventional but effective method is to ask them for advice rather than simply sharing your plans. When people are placed in an advisory role, they are less likely to attack outright. Instead, they may offer constructive feedback. Another method is flipping the script using a technique called positive confrontation. Instead of absorbing their negativity, challenge them to think of solutions. If they say, "You'll never switch careers at this stage," you might respond, "Interesting perspective. How do you think someone could successfully make a career change then?" This not only deflects their negativity, it encourages more constructive dialogue. Remember the words of Epictetus: "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Listening does not mean absorbing everyone's negativity. It means discerning valuable input from mere noise. So when the Naysayer begins clouding your canvas with doubt, take a step back. Listen, reflect, and continue painting your life with the colors that speak to you. Don't let anyone turn your vibrant masterpiece into a dull grey landscape. Type of person number 4, the victim. Imagine life as a game of chess. Each player has the same pieces and the same goal: to checkmate the opponent's king. You strategize, make sacrifices, and take risks. But the victim, they blame the board, the pieces, even their opponent, for every poor move they make. In their eyes, they are perpetually in checkmate, not because of their choices, but because of some external force working against them. Their story is a never-ending tale of woe, with themselves as the helpless protagonist. I can't get ahead in my job because my boss dislikes me. I can't get fit because I have bad genetics. Now, it's important to note, many people face real hardships and systemic challenges. But the victim we're describing uses their struggles as permanent excuses, refusing to take responsibility for their actions or their lack of them. You may find yourself tangled in their narrative, cast as the supporting character who must constantly rescue them. For example, you might spend countless hours listening to a friend blame every failed relationship entirely on their ex-partners. Not only does this consume your time, but it subtly conditions you to adopt a similar mindset, believing that blame is easier than responsibility. So how do the Stoics advise us to deal with victims? It may be tempting to become their savior, offering endless advice and emotional support. But the Stoics would caution against this. They recommend setting firm boundaries to protect your own mental state. You can practice what is known as compassionate detachment. Show empathy, listen kindly, but resist the urge to solve problems they must confront themselves. Offer an ear, but not endless rescues. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." If you find yourself pulled into the victim's narrative, resist becoming one yourself. Stay in control of your own game board. Keep your pieces moving forward. Make strategic sacrifices when needed. And play not for pity, but for growth and wisdom. Type of person number 5, the Toxic Positivist. You know this person. They radiate sunshine, rainbows, and endless streams of emojis. Their motto is always, just be happy, even in the darkest of times. When you share your struggles, they dismiss them with glittery optimism. Picture your life as a garden. It has flowers, but it also has weeds and pests. The toxic positivist insists on pretending the weeds don't exist. Got aphids on your leaves? Just focus on the flowers. Don't let negativity into your garden, they say. While it may sound uplifting, their approach often invalidates your feelings and disconnects you from reality. Imagine going through a tough breakup. You're sad, confused, searching for emotional balance. Their advice? There are plenty of fish in the sea. Just smile. Be happy. This excessive positivity neglects the complexity of human emotion. It glosses over real pain, real struggle, and the lessons within them. Stoicism, on the other hand, doesn't deny hardship. It embraces reality fully, both the roses and the thorns. The Stoics remind us, happiness isn't about ignoring pain. It's about facing it with courage, learning from it, and moving forward with strength. So how do you cultivate your garden without letting the toxic positivist trample it with their indiscriminate sprinkling of good vibes only? One strategy is to engage them in a discussion that embraces both light and shadow. If they say, "Look on the bright side, at least you have your health," you could reply, "Yes, I'm grateful for my health. but it's also okay for me to feel upset about this specific issue. Both can coexist. You can also employ what psychologists call emotional granularity, the ability to recognize and differentiate between a wide range of emotions, both positive and negative. When the toxic positivist pushes you to just be happy, take a moment to acknowledge and label your nuanced feelings. Saying something like, "I'm feeling a bit melancholic today because of X, and that's okay," can be a deeply liberating affirmation. To reference Stoic thought, Seneca once said, "True happiness is to understand our duties toward God and man, to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Notice the balance, understanding duties, which aren't always pleasant, and enjoying the present. A Stoic approach is not about focusing solely on the positive or the negative. It's about embracing life's complexity with equanimity. So the next time a toxic positivist sprinkles their confetti across your carefully tended garden, take a step back. Remember, a garden needs both sunshine and rain to flourish. Embrace your full emotional spectrum and keep nurturing your garden with the richness and complexity it deserves. Type of person number 6, the manipulator. Picture your life as a movie script. You are the main character, and you have a vision of how your story should unfold, where the twists are, who your allies and mentors will be, and what your final act looks like. Enter the manipulator, the shadowy producer who subtly rewrites your script without you even realizing it, until one day you discover your storyline has veered far off course. The manipulator is skilled in the art of emotional and psychological maneuvering. They may use flattery, guilt trips, or even deceit to steer you in a direction that benefits them. For example, you might have a friend who always manages to get you to pay for dinner by saying something like, "You know I've been having a rough month and you're so successful." Covering this wouldn't mean much to you, but it would make my day so much better. Over time, you realize your generosity has been exploited. Yet calling them out feels uncomfortable because they've cleverly framed it as simply doing a favor for a friend in need. So how do you handle a manipulator? One method is a technique known as fogging. This involves agreeing with any truth in their statements while refusing to be swayed by emotional coercion. If they say, "You're so successful, you should cover dinner," you might respond, "You're right, I've been doing well, but let's split the bill as we usually do." Another approach is to establish clear boundaries and enforce them consistently. If a manipulator pressures you to lend money or commit to tasks you're uncomfortable with, learn to say no, firmly but calmly. For example, "I can't lend money, but I'm here to support you emotionally." This sets a boundary while maintaining the relationship. Drawing from Stoic wisdom, Epictetus reminded us, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. The manipulator thrives on predictable reactions. They exploit your kindness, your guilt, or your desire for approval. But when you choose to respond differently, you reclaim control of your script. So if you find a manipulator lurking in your life, remember, you are the one holding the pen. Your storyline is yours to write. And while your cast may include many different characters, the protagonist's journey, your journey, must always be guided by your own values and decisions. Reclaim your script. Don't let anyone manipulate the narrative of your life. Type of person number 7, the time vampire. Imagine your daily routine as a carefully crafted symphony. Each instrument represents a task or commitment, and when played together, they create a harmonious balance. But then enters the time vampire, screeching off key, drowning out your melody, and turning your beautiful composition into discordant noise. The time vampire is not necessarily malicious. In fact, they often seem harmless. It could be the colleague who constantly interrupts you with trivial questions, turning your productive workday into a chain of fragmented moments. Or it could be the friend who invites you to countless social events you're not interested in, leaving you feeling obligated to attend and drained of time and energy. These interactions might feel small in the moment, but their cumulative effect can be profoundly disruptive. So how do you protect your symphony from being ruined by a time vampire? One effective strategy is the Pomodoro technique, a time management method that breaks your work into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes, separated by short breaks. During these focused intervals, make it clear you're not to be disturbed. This simple structure sets a boundary and protects your most productive hours from being quietly stolen away. If you're dealing with the social time vampire, remember that saying no is not just acceptable, it is essential for your well-being. Instead of elaborate excuses, a simple, "I appreciate the invite, but I can't make it," is enough. Declining an invitation is not a rejection of the person. It is an affirmation of your own needs and priorities. In the words of Seneca, life, if well lived, is long enough. Stoicism teaches us that time is one of our most precious resources, one that must be allocated with care. It is the canvas upon which we paint the portrait of our lives. And we must be highly selective about who and what deserves a stroke of that brush. In the grand composition of your life, ensure that every note, every instrument, every melody aligns with your greater purpose. Do not let the discordant intrusion of a time vampire throw your symphony into chaos. Hold the baton firmly. Conduct your life with intention, and make sure that every moment is a note well played in your harmonious masterpiece. As we reach the finale of today's exploration into the types of people who can derail our path towards Stoic resilience and wisdom, let's not forget the most important lesson. Self-awareness is key. It's easy to recognize these patterns in others, but the more challenging and more enlightening task is to look within. Are you, perhaps unintentionally, playing one of these roles in someone else's life? Remember, Stoicism is not only about navigating the world, it's also about understanding and improving ourselves. If today's discussion sparked a realization, an epiphany, or even just a moment of introspection, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share your thoughts, share your experiences. Let's build a dialogue that enriches us all. So until next time, may your choices align with your virtues. May your actions reflect your wisdom. And may your life become the masterpiece it was meant to be.